Welcome back, everybody. We are representing you on the audience together here on Dynasty Nation. How you doing over there, Daniel?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You get to the stage in the off season, and you dig into the past to predict the future, and I'm feeling it, feeling good about it, enjoying myself. Christian, what about yourself? How are you?
Oh, it's good, man. Crazy weather here lately. Been a little rough to manage, but other than that, I'm good. I'm looking forward to diving into some more position group breakdowns with you. So if you've been with us, you heard us do the two conferences quarterbacks rankings. So now we're going to move on to the main guys they throw the ball to, and those are the wide receivers. Now, importantly here, we are ranking them as a group, not as the best person in the group. Obviously, that will have weight to it, but will not determine the thing. It's not a top 16 wide receiver ones. It is a top 16 wide receiver groups of the NFC. So yeah, I mean, without further ado, I'll kind of let you kick the ball and see where we go with this one. I feel like we're going to be a little more different on this one than we were the quarterbacks ones.
I was going to make a column for your ranks that way I can keep track because yeah, you're right. It's gonna get ugly. But my number 16, my least impressive receiver core for the NFC. I'm going with the Washington
Oh
Commanders.
wow. Surprising
Yeah, it
for
is
you.
surprising. But when you look at it, there's a couple things that you have to consider. It's Terry McLaurin. I mean, he's doing wonderful, but there's no one really supporting him. They've got Antonio Williams at a Clemson third round pick, which is pretty exciting. But other than that, they're slated to scheduled. They got Traylon Burks starting, possibly with Luke McCaffrey and Diami Brown and Jalen Lane. It's just a not a really exciting wide receiver room unless Antonio Williams hits. And
Hmm.
I'm kind of like fading cores that are relying on rookies. So it's a
Mm.
little bit of an unproven situation. So that'll be a theme throughout. No one with a starting rookie probably made the top five in mine. So we'll see how that compares to yours. But honestly, I don't really know what to think of the Commanders. If Daniels is back in action, it's going to be pretty awesome for the team offensively. But that rookie year he had a lot of that was like 13 touchdowns to Terry McLaurin. It was only 3,500 yards total. And I think that he does something that's the dynamic as far as, on the ground and not necessarily as a passer. So having this core be a little weak and his ability to make things happen without utilizing the core just put him in the back of the list for me.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean I have him at 15, so
Okay.
I don't disagree with you. Honestly, poor Terry McLaurin, man, has his best season ever, makes the NFC Championship game, and then just gets smacked right back down to earth in the very next year.
Hmm.
Hopefully Jaden Daniels comes back healthy. Um, and as long as he stays healthy, I feel like, Terry has a chance to be maybe not wide receiver seven like he was, but at least in that realm, like in that higher echelon. But he is 31, so his best days are definitely behind him already. And then obviously Daniels has the injury concerns, and then yeah, I don't really see a fantasy viable wide receiver two in this group. The reason they're not last to me is that I believe in the quarterback more than the team I have last,
Okay.
which does kind of, go into this in terms of
Yes.
fantasy viability. Like
Right.
I could like all the guys, but if their quarterback sucks, then it doesn't matter, you know? So that's the only reason they kind of, the Commanders group kind of edged out the rest of this group here, or the this other team here. But I'm with you. There's not really a guy I trust or believe in. I mean, Antonio Williams is an interesting name, but he's a rookie and he's a third round rookie at that. It's not like one of our top prospects coming out. We liked him because of landing spot, and we'll see. And Daniels in his rookie season only targeted his wide receiver 64 times. And in that season, Olamide Zaccheaus, who was that wide receiver 2, finished wide receiver 70. So it's um, not that intriguing, we'll see.
Yeah.
I hope it bangs, but I feel like it's going to be a lot of running and a lot of tight ends and running backs and Terry McLaurin for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, there's something missing on this team, with Debo out. That's, 100 targets and Zach Ertz had 72 last year. So they're missing a huge chunk of production. I don't think 170 targets. Obviously, Terry missed some time, but 170 targets, that's a huge workload to be absorbed by Treylon Burks and Antonio Williams. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just not too optimistic. But yeah, what 16 did I miss you on?
I had the Cardinals
Okay.
at 16. They have huge questions at quarterback. It's a team that doesn't want to win, and obviously Michael Wilson, crushed it at the end of the year, led the team in targets. 88 of those targets, though, came between weeks 11 and 18. Pretty insane number over those last few weeks. He did finish as wide receiver 10 on the year, and he was wide receiver 2 in weeks 11 to 18. And he is younger than I thought. So maybe this was a true breakout for him at 26 years old. But he was basically a non-factor at all until those last few weeks of 2025. And he did finish the year wide receiver 20 despite being that good. So, like, I don't know. It's one of those things you have to buy into him just breaking out. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. has been a disappointment through 2 seasons so far. He's the wide receiver 30 in 2024, wide receiver 49 last year in terms of points per game. And I just look at the Cardinals and do I think Harrison starts to break out and Wilson maintains that with Carson Beck and a holding out Jacoby Brissett and a team that's likely looking forward to 2027? No, no, I do not.
Yeah, and another thing to consider is like this team doesn't necessarily rely on wide receivers.
Mm,
You know, Trey McBride led the way for them in a major fashion. 169 targets to the 126 of Michael Wilson, and then you add Love in the mix, and you got to wonder if there won't be some sort of change for them to just not even really have to count on the wide receiver room so much, and they're getting a new um, offensive coordinator here. We've got Nathaniel Hackett in the house. So
woohoo.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that impacts it. But yeah, I just don't think they're really relying on the wide receiver room that heavily. So I'm with you on that, all that. I have them at 14.
Okay.
So it's, not too horribly different than what you have. I did think they had two players points per game in the top 40, if I'm not mistaken, from last year.
Well,
Uh,
Harrison was 49 in points per
okay,
game.
it's top 50. Sorry, two in the top 50. So
So,
that kind of separated them above
yeah.
above my number 15 team,
Okay.
um, which is the Falcons.
Okay. I have the
So that
Falcons at 13.
Okay, so and this one was tough for me because I do think that Drake London is pretty awesome,
Mm,
but it kind of shades back in with the kind of a mesh of the Cardinals and the Commanders situation.
yeah.
Where are we looking at Zachariah Branch coming in as a third rounder to round out this receiver room, and obviously got Olamide, Zacchaeus, and Jahan Dotson in there, but they're not really moving the needle for me. But then at the same time, with the Cardinals conversation, Kyle Pitts is getting a ton of targets. He was a target leader for this team last year, and then you got Bijan Robinson with triple digit targets as well. So as far as like a wide receiver core, it's a really balanced, like three-headed dog when it comes to getting targets. So it doesn't really do much for the core itself, even though I think, Drake London is definitely a top 10, very close to top five wide receiver in the NFC in my mind. But
Hmm.
as far as this core goes, and with what we can anticipate to be an interesting development for Penix or Tua or whatever seems to be happening. And then this also gets mixed in similarly to the Cardinals with the new head coach. So they got Stefanski in the house. I don't know if that necessarily gives you much of a bump as far as the wide receiver room goes. And yeah, I don't know. New defensive or offensive coordinator Tommy Reese from the Browns as well. It's not necessarily excitement in that department either. So that's how they end up at 15. You said you had them at 13.
13, yeah. I
Okay.
mean Drake London's obviously doing the heavy lifting there. They don't have like Drake London was seventh in points per game last season despite random and shaky QB play. That's really not changing. Or at least on paper it's not. He should still be great, top 10 wide receiver like you said. I believe that for real, especially maybe better if one of these quarterbacks step up. But neither of these other guys, none of these other guys are that intriguing of options. You're right. Like, you got Jahan Dotson coming over. That hurts my heart that he's not a thing. Olamide's never finished better than wide receiver 65. And then yeah, Zachariah Branch is like spicy, but he that relies on the quarterback play being good. And then also he's an obvious injury risk and has the drawbacks of any player his size. So it's like it's hard to get truly, truly excited. And yeah, I'm with you. It sucked putting Drake London this low, but it was tough for me to put him any higher, and they didn't even make it as high for you. So.
It was kind of, yeah, this was a hard ranking in general, but
Yeah, it was not easy. I'm
looks
hoping
like
that
we're similar pages though here.
yeah, around the same page for sure. Well, we'll see with this one. So my 15 was the Commanders. My 14, there is an asterisk with this one, an injury related asterisk. I got the Giants at 14. If Malik Neighbors is healthy, then they're definitely higher on this. In fact, I kept like a running top 10 of the wide receiver ones on your advice. I'm not taking that from you. Good job. Thank you. Appreciate you. Uh,
Sure.
and I didn't put Neighbors in strictly because he's not healthy. Had he been healthy, he probably would have slid in at 5 or 6, like
Seven.
in 7. Okay, so yeah, that's where you would have had him. So if he's fully healthy, this completely changes. The problem is all we've heard all offseason is that like it's not been positive news.
Sure.
The only thing that's come out is the GM Joe Shane saying they expect him back week 1. That seems counterintuitive to what they just said before that he's getting another knee surgery, and that John Harbaugh said it's a tricky one. Like it seems crazy to say that and then come out and say, "Oh no, he should be ready week 1." Like, but maybe he is. But even if he is, what version of him are we getting? Are we getting full 100% Malik Neighbors, or are we getting 60% Malik Neighbors as he kind of figures out how to go through the rest of this year? So we'll see. And if you take him out of it, fuck, man. Like this is just a bunch of guys. This is a Madden
Uh,
roster of a kid that doesn't know that much about football but can recognize some names. So he just signed all the vets that he knew that have an average age of 29.6. You got Darius Slayton, Calvin Austin, OBJ at 34 basically. Juju Smith-Schuster and Darnell Mooney. Uh you know, okay, maybe one of those guys can still be efficient and like all right. And then Malachi Fields is an interesting rookie, to be fair. I kind of think
Yeah.
he profiles really well with one of the speedster guys, like a big body type guy that can kind of box people out and be that option for you. But if that guy's not there, which AKA if Neighbors is not there, then it's him what, trying to carry these old guys, trying to rely on these old guys. Like I don't see it. And I'm just concerned with Neighbors. Again, if Neighbors is healthy, they bump to like eight, nine higher on this list, you know? But in terms of how I feel about them right now, I just can't. I can't do it. Like I couldn't put them any higher with the huge question mark of Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I had him at 13, so our
Okay.
bottom four are
Are the
the
same, just a
same.
little different order.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, Robinson giving up 140 of the targets. I think Juju eats Malachi Fields immediately.
Mm,
So that becomes more of a long-term thing because they seem like they probably will end up in similar places if Malachi Fields is successful, if you ask me. But yeah, I'm with you. This is, you brought up Harbaugh. This is the third NFC team that we've talked about that has a new coach.
mm.
Um, and that, yeah, that's it. Three. There's three of them. There's like seven AFC teams, which is nuts. But yeah, and then you add Matt Nagy as the new offensive
Hell yeah.
coordinator. And so, I mean,
The
shit's gonna
Nagmeister.
happen. But yeah, I agree. All that. Hopefully, Neighbors is back for week one, but
Yeah.
it seems like that's a lie you tell your friends so that they
Hmm.
think you're cool. Um, and it works. Like I lie like that constantly. So let's keep it rolling. That's a
Fair
good
enough.
call.
All
Do you
right,
want to
so
know? Oh,
I
go ahead.
guess
Yeah.
number 12 for you then, if we've got
Okay. This is like the next four, like there's no way we can stay on this. Ouch. To me, this one definitely is gonna burn. I don't even know if I can defend it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I put the Eagles
oof,
at
oof. Okay.
12.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what to say here. Obviously, AJ Brown is out, and then you're
Hmm.
counting on, first round rookie with Mekhi Lemon, and then you've got Devonta Smith, which I've not really ever been a super fan of.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then this is another situation where the distribution outside of the wide receiver room really impacts the ranking. When you got Saquon, and then obviously, you got Dallas Goddard, and you're getting in a new tight end rookie. It's going to be amazing. So you got to look out for that. Sorry, I can't just spoil all the future episodes. Come back for the tight end episodes, everybody.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just think that if you're looking at Smith and Lemon, that's going to be great. But there's enough question marks surrounding Hurts and his ability. Obviously, Wicks gives it a little bit of a boost, but there's so much new here, and it's been a little bit, in my opinion, an up and down passing game for the Eagles. Not really what they've leaned into in stressful situations. And they've always had AJ Brown to kind of get them out, like the break glass in case of emergency. I think there's a lot of settling to do for this team to get it all worked out. And I don't think it's going to hit the ground running, but it may end the season really nice. But in my opinion, I think we're in for a bit of a bumpy start. And so they kind of, obviously they're not in the Left for Dead group that we just went through, where like there's, clinging on to a single alpha. There are some options here, but I just don't think that they're going to be the primary function of this offense, and I think the production's going to suffer in the fantasy world.
I hear everything that you're saying,
Yep.
and I understand it.
Okay.
For some reason,
Sure.
I can't shake the vibes that I think this is gonna work. Like
Yeah.
especially in a PPR format, like so they bring over Sean Mannion
Yeah.
to be the offensive coordinator, and I just think that speaks to getting guys open quickly. and scheming guys open as opposed to, oh, well, AJ Brown's going to outbody this person. And I just think they're going to not rely on Hurts as much in terms of, oh, he's going to drop back and find the guy. Like they're going to be like, no, this guy's going to be open. And if he's not, run it, or like
Oh
that
yeah.
type of idea. I don't, m- Again, this is a vibes one, man. Like
Hey, feel
I
it.
fully expect to be wrong. I have him at 6.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think Devonta Smith
Oh,
is going to have a really good year, and I think
goodness.
Makai Lemon slides in really well with what the Eagles want to do. I mean, AJ Brown has finished sixth, fifth, 20th in a 13 game season, and 11th with the Eagles. And a lot of that was built off bodying people for touchdowns and long scores and just being that guy. And I just think it's going to be different. And maybe it is a slow start, but in terms of getting these guys fed, I think it's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. This one I'm fully expecting to be wrong on because the Eagles, because they're a team that I don't like at all, really. If I ever get behind them, they're of course gonna just screw me. So I'm expecting them to not be very good. But for whatever reason, I couldn't shake the vibe of putting them any lower than this.
Yeah, I couldn't
Um,
put them any higher than 12. It's purely based off of the vibes the
yeah,
Eagles give off.
yeah,
So
fair
it was
enough.
also a vibes thing for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we'll see. We'll see who ends up right there. That's our biggest difference so far, obviously. At
But
12, I had the Carolina Panthers.
okay,
I think Tetaroa McMillan was good last year, wide receiver
yeah,
16, but wide
sure.
receiver 24 in terms of points per game.
Correct.
And then Jalen Coker, like everybody wants to talk about how they're a cokehead and whatever, cool, cool, cool.
Maybe in
He
your neighborhood.
he was the wide receiver 69 last
Ouch.
year and 59 in points per game. So it's not like, oh shit, it just didn't play enough or whatever. I think it's all like recency bias. The 9 catches for 134 yards and a touchdown in the playoffs, which obviously awesome. That's great. If he can keep that up, then he makes a great wide receiver too to Tetaroa McMillan. But we're also just saying for sure that Bryce Young is taking that step forward, even though the Panthers don't seem to believe that necessarily. He took a bit of a step forward towards the end of the year. I want to believe in him. I want him to be really good. And I literally initially typed out, oh, he had a great playoff game against the Rams. It was good. It was like around 50% completion percentage, like 250 something yards, a touchdown and a pick. It wasn't like some crazy transcendent game like I kind of remember it being. And then like yeah, he had like a couple good games in the year, but he had a couple duds as well. So the Panthers I think do have a lot of opportunity to kind of shoot up this list, but I also think we're just relying on the fact that you are guaranteeing that Young's going to take that jump and that he can carry two wide receivers, which I'm just not sure. Like even Coker could just be one of those guys that's like a good player that just doesn't translate to fantasy that well. And then even Tet, 122 targets, he only caught 70 of them. So not that efficient. I don't know whose fault that was. I don't know if it was his or Bryce Young's. But if his reception percentage takes a jump, obviously you could have a monster season. And then if that happens, you got to slide coverage over to him more. You got Jalen Coker all over it outside of there, but Leggett gives them basically nothing. Like I actually had the Panthers higher than this initially, and then kept dropping them for other teams. So I don't know. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I've got them at 10, so
Okay.
we're pretty close. But the reason I think that you're so wrong and it's disgraceful, and you can't believe you said all that out loud about them. But my thing is, as far as competition outside of the wide receiver room, this team probably has the least, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Okay.
So, I mean, Rico had 50 targets last year, and he's gone. And so you have basically the tight end room hasn't been improved as we all anticipated it would be. So they're going back to the drawing board with Coker, who gets an extension. You got Leggett, who now has pressure from Chris Brazzell, the third rounder,
Hmm.
coming out of Tennessee. And then Ted really did have a nice little rookie year, especially considering the team setup. There's a lot of continuity in the coaching staff, and I think they know what they want to do. If they can just, you know, improve on last year, feel like they have a chance. Obviously we're talking, you know, bottom, outside the top 20 of the league. But I think they are competitive enough to surprise rather than disappoint. And I think we both have them kind of right at that edge. I'm just a little more optimistic about the outcome and
Yeah.
what Young is capable of doing.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they surprised. But
Sure.
yeah, I'm not leaning into it for sure. But I mean I hear you that you're right. There's no competition. To even
No.
Chuba's not a pass catching guy. We got to see what Jonathan Brooks does, and then yeah, I feel like we've all been spicy about a Panthers tight end randomly throughout our lives, and expected them to take, I don't know,
Sadiq.
Sadiq, yeah, that's sorry, fuck, sorry, Kenyon. I forgot your name for a second. We all expected him to take him, and they didn't. So you're right. There's not a lot of competition there. I, I feel like I've variously been on the Bryce Young bandwagon, and then also been the guy trying to take the wheels off the wagon at random times. And I guess today I was just off that wagon. So
All is forgiven in RDR. Feeling good, really. Yeah, I think it could go either way. So that's where you get 10, 12. That's kind of, yeah, lukewarm, but wouldn't be
yeah.
surprised if they did well. So I think that's probably a good way to describe where I'm at for my number 11 team, which is the Saints.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so that's difficult for me. It's hard for me to trust Tyler Shuck as we go in. This one was kind of tough. This is where it got really difficult for me in the rankings. Like top four were easy, bottom four
Hmm.
were easy. This middle eight was tough. Um, yeah, but for me, they're relying on new blood with Jordan Tyson coming in. Chris Olave is pretty awesome. He was
Hmm.
number seven in points per game rank last year. He's clearly, clearly in my top 10 NFC wide receivers at number 10-ish. But I think
I don't
that
know.
yeah, you're probably more optimistic on them than I am, but I'm not quite sure what is going to happen with the increased. We got Trevor Etienne in the running back room, which obviously isn't an upgrade over prime Kamara
Yeah,
days for the
yeah,
Saints.
yeah, yeah.
But it is kind of the ability to put the ball on the ground more effectively than they've had in a very long time. They tried to force Kamara to be a dual threat, rusher and receiver, and it worked out pretty well, but they're kind of removed from those days. I think that this team needs to get the ground game going, and I think they might push it a little harder. Asking for Olave to be the number one, it's going to be a lot easier when he has a number two. He's been successful. I think this team's going to do well. The players are high quality. I just don't know what the situation is. And counting on Chuck, I need to see him do it more before I start, putting dollars on the table for the Saints. And there's really nothing to say about it as far as sadness. I'm not really trying to talk about any wide receiver rookies that got drafted outside the top 3 rounds, but you got to say Bryce Lance here,
Mhm.
just because he's probably the most uh, optimistic fourth through seventh round receiver in a favorable landing spot with Devon Voulet in front of him. So, yeah, I don't know.
Devon Villay is a grandpa already. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, he is a grandfather.
I
He's
don't know that actually, but he's old enough to be.
no, he's just like yeah. All right, love that shit, dude. He's a grandfather. Oh, that's
I'm
funny.
16. I'm a grandmother. He's 28. You
28, yeah.
know, like,
Yeah, I mean,
he could, he
genetically,
could, like,
I mean, yeah,
he could have
the
made it happen.
human body is capable of producing 28-year-old grandparents. I'm sure it has happened.
Oh, for sure, yeah, especially back in the day. But yeah, no, I hear you. I'm a little more optimistic on them, but not like crazy more
Okay.
optimistic. They're at 9 for
Nine.
me.
Sure.
Top 10, that's cool. Chris Olave just finally looked like the guy that we wanted him to last season. He stayed healthy, which was a big part of it. Finishes as wide receiver 6, and then wide receiver 7 in terms of points per game. So like it wasn't all just kind of fluky. Like some guys, get up in the rankings of the final rankings, but then if you do the points per game, it's like a lot less and speaks to who got hurt in front of him or whatever. He had 100 receptions. Now Shuck gets that new influx of talent. I really think Jordan Tyson and uh, Bryce Lance should end up as the 2 and 3 by the end of the year in this offense. And I just think the potential is huge, especially for Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, the question marks, like you said, we haven't seen any of these guys, but in terms of opportunity and being a viable fantasy wide receiver, I really think Tyson will be by the end of the year, easily. Like, Travis Achan doesn't catch a lot of passes, really. That's not really his bag, and I think they are going to give that to Kamara.
Good.
But I think if they have a more efficient running game and a more balanced offense, like, yeah, maybe the attempts or whatever for shot go down, but the efficiency could actually go up in terms of being able, and then like not basically only relying on Olave and our previously mentioned grandfather to get down the field
No.
and and make plays. So I think you're gonna get more fantasy viability out of these 2 and potentially 3 guys than some of these other groups. Now, if I actually don't even have Olave in my top 10 of the NFC
It's
wide
number
receivers.
10. Number
So
10 for
yeah,
me.
so he's like right on the edge there. So I don't think he's better than a lot of even a couple of the guys I have right behind him, especially not one. But I I just think as a group, you're gonna get more viability out of them than some of these other groups.
Yeah, I think that like I guess I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of fading anyone relying on rookies
Yeah,
coming
you,
in.
you you did. Yeah, which makes sense. That's a way to be, and it makes sense.
So who do you have at where are we? 11 for
11,
you?
11. I have the San Francisco 49ers
Oh,
um
yay.
at 11. So here's the thing. We differed on the on the Brock
Mm,
Purdy
mm.
conversation pretty hard. Um, but here's the thing. Brock Purdy was killing it with Joanne Jennings and the ambulance brigade last year and just making whoever work and especially Christian McCaffrey work, which I think that's kind of the plan again. I mean, Joanne Jennings was his target leader last season because no one else could stay healthy. Hopefully that's not the case, but we haven't seen that out of Parasol. We haven't seen it out of Evans the last few years, to be honest, at least in terms of staying healthy. When he's out there, he crushes it, which is opposite of Parasol, whereas Parasol doesn't really do much outside of a
Has
few,
he played football before?
yeah, right, outside of a few spot games, and he's also significantly older than you realize. So he's on his way to being a grandfather.
I was gonna say,
Feels
is this the theme?
but he hasn't really been able to stay relevant. Last year Mike Evans was
Uh,
42nd in points per game, and I know that he was dealing with injuries. He was coming in and out of the lineup. A lot of it wasn't his fault, but we're shipping him out to San Francisco where they got the weird electric sphere that they had to get checked out to make sure it wasn't hurting their players. I don't know if you heard about that, but if you
no.
haven't, you should look that up. They literally sent scientists out to check out their practice field because people were saying that the uh, electric uh, shit around the practice field was fucking up their players, and so they had somebody come out and do tests of it. It was insane. Look it up, read it. I'm butchering it, whatever. But
I'm
you
gonna
got
do
Evans,
it.
you got Evans coming out there. Coming off his worst season, not his fault. Again, injuries. I genuinely think Evans is going to be good, but Ricky Pearsall was the wide receiver 52 last season, in terms of points per game. Christian Kirk was the wide receiver 101 in terms of points per game. He comes over, and then you get Deshaun Stribling as a high upside, questionable early second round pick that a lot of people didn't expect. Yeah, I just think a lot of it's going to be CMC and George Kittle, like it has been. I think Mike Evans will have a good year, but I just don't. A lot of it's a projection for these other guys, and I guess I'm just burned. Maybe I've been burned by Parasol 2 years in a row, and I'm over it. But that's just where I'm at. I don't know that the group as a whole is going to be great. I love Mike Evans in San Francisco if he can stay healthy, but other than that, I'm a bit skeptical.
Yes. Okay. So there's a substation nearby, and
There
they
you go.
were assuming that the electromagnetic, uh, I don't know, it's like radiation. No, some just the energy, I guess, was weakening the tendons and soft tissue, but it's been found that the levels were 400 times below the unsafe threshold, and
Makes sense.
there was no concern, and there is no scientific evidence for these emissions to have an effect on DNA, protein, or soft tissue.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
But
I
that's how
assume,
triggered they are right now with the
well,
injuries, is that they're
I'm
looking at
like,
all the options.
the EMF, like, if all your electronics are working, your connective tissue probably is
It's
too.
probably fine.
Like,
Yeah.
isn't there some canaries in this situation? All right. That's nuts. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted so badly to rank them lower, but I didn't want to get Brock Purdy'd in this one. I have them at 9, and I am
Okay,
now
I mean that's not crazy.
with the Tyson talk and the Young talk. I easily could put the Saints up 2 spots. So
Okay.
I'll mirror you on all of that noise.
All right.
But this one for me should have been lower, wanted it to be lower. And honestly, the Mike Evans coming in, I feel like he's going to have a
Yeah.
really epic
Yeah.
season.
I'm with you. I
Um,
really am.
I was kind of saving it. I called, Kittle and CMC ball magnets, but in light of the substation concept, maybe I need to change up some of these synonyms or whatever. Um, I'll call them ball hawks. Is there any
There you go.
problem with birds
I
of
don't
prey
Not
in
in
their
San Fran.
area?
Not in
Okay.
San Fran. Not ever since I got the condor back to life.
See, that could be the substations keeping the birds back.
True.
You got
True.
to look at that. So yeah, with Kittle and CMC and a lack of like true wide receiver awesomeness outside of Juwan Jennings, who's out of town. Yeah, it makes it hard to believe in this. I do think Christian Kirk is the sleepy name to be excited about. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what gives me a little bit of the boost to put him in the top 10. Um, but yeah, what we haven't even heard your number 10 team, so you got to do it twice. I've
Did
given
you say you're
you.
10?
Did I say my 10? The Panthers were my 10.
Oh yeah, so you talked about it when I talked. Okay. All right. This
Or I can go to 8 if you want me to.
No, I'll go to 10. I'll go to 10. This is
Okay.
gonna sound like heresy.
Uh-oh.
This is a
Uh-oh.
rough
Oh
one.
no, this is I see where we're at. Let me pour some more whiskey here.
I have the Seahawks at 10.
Oh, oh God. Oh
Okay,
my.
look. All right, look. Look,
All
look,
right,
look. Before
alrighty.
I get shot, right? JSN, amazing.
Just talking about birds of prey.
Fucking incredible. I have him in the top 10 wide receivers of the NFC. He's second. All right. Like
Okay, okay.
I love JSN.
Same here.
Don't get it twisted. He had an incredible season. He's the wide receiver 2 in points per game, offensive player of the year, 110 catches, 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, locked in wide receiver 1. There is no issue there. But the rest of these guys, woof, woof. Cooper Cup, wide receiver 68 on the year. They trade for Rashid Shaheed. He's the wide receiver 58. What's changed? What changed? They won the damn Super Bowl. What are they gonna throw to these guys more? I don't see that. We ranked Sam Darnold low in our quarterback ranks for the NFC for the exact reason that they don't rely on him and they're going to run the ball. They take Jadarian Price in the first round. Uh, it's it's not due to talent. It's just the style of offense. I think JSN's the man, but I don't think you can expect anything out of anybody else on that roster. I had like a little bit of love for Torrey Horton, thinking that they were going to get rid of Cooper Cup and that he might be the two to the Rashid or the three to Shaheed and JSN, but they didn't even use damn Shaheed and Cooper Cup's still there. I don't buy it. I don't see it. I'm not a fan of the rest of these guys. Is JSN gonna be a top three or a top five to three fantasy wide receiver in the NFL again? I would probably say so. But in terms of the group, I don't think you can expect it. I wouldn't draft these other two guys, which I feel like has to knock them down.
I feel like, yeah, all right. Okay. Well, okay. Hot take, I guess. Not maybe I had the hot take. I put him at five,
Oh, geez. Okay. All
and
right.
it was strictly like, and you're right. And I shouldn't have had him every time we do, well, my plan is to do tiers to help me rank these guys.
Uh-huh.
I usually do tier one is five teams, tier two is five teams, tier three is the other six, right?
Yeah.
And for this episode, I could only put four teams in tier one because I couldn't put the Seahawks up there. So
Gotcha.
they ended up at the top of tier two for me. Um, and I don't know if I can really justify the gap here, because there's some other reasons we should be excited about other position groups in this team. But really, the offense as a whole is mids as hell, until
Hmm.
we know what Price is and what Charbonnet's health is. I mean, we're going to be counting on the tight end room, which is going to be weird because they bring in the new OC as the old San Francisco tight end coach and run game coordinator. So that could lend itself to that. But what I'm seeing here is nothing except for JSN on the entire offensive side of the ball, like skill
Hmm.
position, period. And I just feel like he's just going to get absolutely smothered in targets,
Yeah.
and for that reason, I don't know. I think he can be successful enough. He hit
Yeah.
163 last year. If I
Yep.
mean, what's the record? What's the top?
Of
I
targets,
know.
I don't actually know.
I think Calvin Johnson got over 200, and I think that Julio's been over 200 as well. But I think we're flirting with like a Julio Calvin Johnson level, like drown this guy with the ball
The
type situation.
single season record belongs to Marvin Harrison
Marvin Harrison, sure.
with
Okay,
205.
there you go. I think we're in that
Uh,
territory.
205 Marvin Harrison at one, Calvin Johnson with 204
Yeah.
in 2012, Antonio Brown
Oh,
with 193, and then okay, this is AI. This doesn't make any sense because it says four is Matthew Stafford, which
that's
doesn't.
Calvin Johnson
But
again.
well, it
So,
says Calvin Johnson slash Julio Jones. So
oh
I
God.
think maybe they
So they
tied.
tied.
Yeah,
Okay.
they must have
Yeah.
tied. I just don't know
I've
why.
looked at that list before. I forgot about the Marvin Harrison. But okay. Well, so I think that JSN's going to be wide receiver one, probably could be. I mean, he's going to be out of this world. And I do think Shaheed gets a foothold on actually
Okay,
being a trusted guy and schemed a lot of action here.
I have a better list.
Oh, good.
Not
Here it
not
goes.
Google AI. Marvin Harrison, 1, 205. Calvin Johnson, 2, 204. Julio
Okay.
Jones, 3,
Okay.
203. Reggie Wayne, 4,
Oh,
195. And Brandon Marshall, 194
wow.
to round out the top five. Um, so that's from StatMuse, which I trust a lot more than Google AI. I was just trying to get the quick answer and it backfired like it usually does. But no, I hear you. I hear you. I would not be surprised if JSN started inching into that upper echelon of targets, but that doesn't make me like the group anymore.
Hmm.
It makes me
Hmm.
like JSN a lot, like, and maybe I should weigh him more. because he's clearly a top three wide receiver option if he performs like he did last year or better, obviously. But in terms of like, I don't want Cooper Kupp. I don't want Rashid Shaheed. I'm trying to trade him, and I was like bitching before I did this podcast. Why won't he would trade me for Rashid Shaheed? And now I'm like, oh, that's why, because he's not worth a fuck. Like, I forgot. Like, he's an exciting player, but there's nothing to it in terms of points. Like, so I just don't buy the rest of him. And maybe I weighed that too much this time compared to other teams, but I just felt like the other teams in front of this had multiple guys that I liked. To me,
Yeah.
JSN dragged this group to the top 10. Uh,
Yeah, no. And yeah,
so
I think I had JSN eyes on this one. So you're probably right. Add them together, divide by two, call them 7.5. Land on that.
fair
I'm with
enough.
it.
So that was my 10.
Oh
You said your
gosh.
10?
Yeah, my 10 was the Panthers. So
Okay.
we're at, and then I
My,
said your 9 was the Saints.
yes, sir. Yeah.
My 9 was the Niners.
Okay. So we talked about that. So we're at 8. All right.
8. Okay,
Uh, you want to go? Go for
sure.
it. Send
I've
it.
got I've got the Bears.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. That
Okay.
makes my heart sing.
Okay, well, I've got the Bears at 8. This is an interesting situation. DJ Moore is
Mm.
obviously no more as far as the Bears go. And I gotta say Zavon Thomas's name because he was a top third round pick, even though I really don't think
Yeah,
I know
what the
who
hell?
he is.
Ben Johnson was
Um,
feeling himself, that's for sure.
yeah, this is a real Isaiah T-Slaw moment here. So, for me, this one, I mean, you sound like you might have him higher, or you're happy that
I have him at
I'm
7.
okay.
I'm
Okay.
happy that you, by process of elimination, have them lower than another team.
Ah,
Whatever.
sure. So for me, like I love Roma Dunze, big
Yeah.
time, but I am not sold here at the moment. I think that obviously he's going to get a much higher workload, had some issues staying on the field last year. And Luther Burden is a player that I'm extremely pumped about.
Mm.
Apparently, so is the nation and Ben Johnson, and that's great. But this team feels like a huge projection for
Hmm.
me, and so I can't really get on board with putting him any higher than 8. Obviously, 8 is a pretty good number, in the grand scheme of things here. But I do think that Colston Loveland is probably going to be more of
Yeah.
the engine of this offense. He's going to be the foundational piece for this. You still got
Yeah.
Swift.
And
Go
we were on
ahead.
that train from the start. Remember when
Yeah,
we said
man.
Loveland was going to be sick as hell?
You
Yeah.
love land. I love land. Love land.
We nailed that
Dude,
one.
Tyler Warren is still better.
I
You
like
know,
Tyler Warren
he
better
just
still. Yeah.
didn't go into an offensive situation where they were literally desperate to force it to work, which is what we have here. That tight
Yeah.
end room is stout. I love this tight end room. As far as if I was putting a team together, I would be like, give me that tight end room. It's pretty good. But the wide receiver room, man, does it have some real hype going.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
until it's on paper, until the ink's dry on something here, it's going to be tough for me to fully back it. So I put him at 8.
Yeah, yeah, I have him at 7. I actually had him higher on my initial rankings, and I dropped him a few spots. I'm with you. The hype has reached like crazy levels to the point that it's like making me forget what actually happened. Like, if you look from weeks 10 to the end of the year, here's Luther Burden's scores, PPR scores, mind you. 8.1, 5.7, 9.1, 7.6, 11, 14.4, 27.8. Okay, there you go. Crazy. Cool. 7.5. And then I was like, well, it must have been the playoffs. I must have forgot that he like went off in the playoffs. Through 2 playoff games, 6 catches, 66 yards.
Yeah.
Not okay. So 12 points total in the playoffs. Am I fucking missing something? Like I get it. I think he's going to be great, and I do have him at 7. And I have him ranked above the team that we're about to talk about when I talk about 8, purely based on the fact that I think like the individual ceiling for Rome Odunze and Luther Burden is higher than the individual ceiling for the guys that I have behind him. In terms of, I think they're going to get fed the ball maybe a little more or whatever. But to me, I still think the Bears are an obvious regression candidate. And maybe that just
Regression from like mid 40s in the wide receiver rankings
yeah,
for these
see,
guys.
well, like I think they'll be all right. Yeah, all right. So fuck me. I should have put them lower. I don't know. I was trying not
You put
to be a
these
hater.
dudes above JSN.
As a unit, yes, not above JSN. They're all looking at JSN's the bottom of his cleats.
For
I do
sure.
think it's spicy. If the Bears climb the way people are expecting them to, then I think they will. Like, I think they will be good. And I like that I have Luther Burden in our Jersey League. I like that I have Roma Dunze in our D League. Like, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And I think their ceiling is high, but I do think they could be middling and like hit or miss week to week, which is why I have them at 7.
Yeah, yeah. I've got so Chicago as a team, I feel like they might be successful, but they're gonna have to grind, you know. They're not gonna be
Yeah.
blowing people away, and that's kind of what you need in
Yeah.
fantasy. You don't need a guy that just gets the job done. You need a guy that you can hang your hat on, and it's hard to feel that way about either of these guys. They're one of four teams where I don't know who the leader of the wide receiver core is.
Hmm.
I have the Eagles, the Saints, the Bears, and a team we haven't talked about on that list. And that kind of gave me a bit of a, pause when I'm like, oh, I can't even tell you who the number one on this team is. So
Yeah.
that makes it hard to project their success. So
That's fair. Well, I feel like we might be mentioning the other team you're talking
yeah,
about. I have Green Bay at 8,
okay,
right behind the Bears. And like I said, it's purely based on the fact that I think by the end of the year, Luther Burden and Rome Odunze could be higher than Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Matthew Golden. But I think as a unit, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Matthew Golden will all hang around or be inside the like 25 up spot in terms of PPR. Like I think they're all going to be good, but good luck picking who's going to be your lead dog week to week. That's still Matt LaFleur's thing. I do think Green Bay has focused their passing attack. It's going to be Tucker Kraft.
yep,
He's apparently due back week 1, and he's incredible.
of course,
And then it's going to be these three guys. Christian Watson was wide receiver 12 in week 12 to 17. I always harp on PPR or points per game. So granted, he was 20th in points per game, which still isn't bad, but he got paid big time. Not so much guaranteed. People seem to forget about that. It was a good contract for the Packers. Jane Reed, out most of the year, clearly an important member of the LaFleur system. He gets paid. Matthew Golden, last year's number 1 overall pick, he had to sit in typical Green Bay fashion. That made everyone forget about him. I just genuinely feel like with the loss of Dobbs and the trading away of Wicks, they focused this passing attack into 3 guys. We're not going to have 4 or 5 guys swapping in and out. We're not going to have Bo Melton coming in doing stuff randomly. Wicks coming in doing stuff randomly. Savion's gonna get his. I think he'll be in some interesting packages. But I think it's gonna be better for Love, especially if they let Love loose. And if Jacobs is suspended or whatever, I do think they're gonna have to do that. But to me, it's like, do I see any of these guys as wide receiver 1 superstars? Doubtful. I see them as potentially high end twos or like very high end flexes, which is where I put them behind the Bears because I could see it wouldn't surprise me if Romo Dunze was like a low end 1 or a high end 2 or Burden in kind of in that same area. Like that's the only reason I put them. But as a unit, I think all three of them are going to be viable, which is like the most viable guys you can say about any of these NFC teams. Like all three of these guys, I think are going to be fantasy relevant, but just not like high end relevant. Like you're not going to rely on them. You're going to be hyped that they're in your flex spot, or if you're in a three wide receiver league, you're going to be hyped that they're one of your wide receivers or in your flex again. Like that's going to be where they kind of sit. Whereas the ceiling for the Bears guys may be a little higher to me.
When it comes down to quantity, right? So if you have three options that are semi-equal, and this is something Green Bay's been kind of rolling out, ever since the departure of Adams. So it's hard to say, yeah, like I can count on this guy to lead my team. But if you're looking at like the core as a whole, three is better. Three B pluses is better than two B pluses if we're comparing them to the Bears. So I don't
Fair.
know.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'm with you on this. Yes, this was my fourth team where I don't know who the leader of it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you kind of hit everything. Wicks is out, Dobbs is out. That kind of streamlines the confusion. Obviously, Kraft brings a huge workload demand in here, which may impact this core as a whole. But that's the identity of this team is to have this three-headed monster. I like that better. And yeah, with Jacobs possibly missing some time, it's just going to be all systems go here. So seven feels good for me.
Yeah.
Um,
So we just flipped
which
these
yeah,
two.
yeah, and I did it on purpose, and you should have done it too. But
Fair enough.
does that make me
At
ready
six,
for
because
six?
my six was the Eagles, so we already
Oh
talked
yeah,
about them.
swing and a miss on your part, no biggie. But yeah, I've got the Bucks
Okay.
at six here. And I don't know if the Bucks can be the Bucks without Evans. I think it's going to
Mm.
be a little dicey. I do like what they did, adding Ted Hurst in the third. I think, we obviously both like that. The new OC is the Atlanta Falcons' old OC, Zach Robinson. He's got ties back to the Rams. So there's some good optimism there, but Emeka Ibuka is obviously a rising star. He's not burning as bright as he could have or should have
Hmm.
because he was on a team with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. He's still on a team with Godwin here, but the ability for them to just kind of stand out and impress, I think, is there. This is a team that had two guys in the top 50 as far as points per game last year, and I think they're probably going to do that again. So I don't know. There was a bit of a down year for the Bucks. They were only 20th in passing yards out of the whole league, and I think that they could probably shore that up and get some consistency that they were missing last year. And it's hard to bet against this team. I mean, it really felt weird putting them at six. I guess I should have probably had them above the Seahawks, but I did not do that personally. But this is, I mean, it's a Egbuka, it's his team now. Godwin, I think, obviously had some beautiful seasons in there, but he wasn't, he's not a sustained number one. And I think that we're going to see this team kind of solidify for the future, set up with Ted Hurst and Ibuka, and it's going to be a nice core. And this is another team that doesn't necessarily have as much of a threat. Definitely not. I don't know. K Dotton is whatever, I guess, and obviously Bucky's good. But this team doesn't force the ball outside the wide receiver position like some of the other squads do. So that kind of makes me circle the wagons on them and leave them at six.
Yeah, so I had him at five,
Okay.
just above you. But I agree with everything you're saying. I think it is Ibuka's team. I think a lot of people forget that he fell off after week five. First of all, he's the wide receiver three going like through week five, which is pretty crazy. But then he quickly fell off, ended this season wide receiver 23. But he was dealing with injuries. Like he didn't sit out a lot, but he was hurt. And so that had a lot to do with it. And then as he got hurt, they brought back in Evans and Godwin. So like it kind of made sense the way it happened. It wasn't anything to do with him, like he was still good. So to me, Ibuka appears poised to be the number one option, and I think Godwin's got at least a year left in him to be that number two guy. And I also just in terms of the Bucks, like I think they're going to be fighting in a lot of games. They're going to be having to pass. I don't. They're not going to be running the ball down th people's throats. They're not going to be outpacing teams on a weekly basis. So I think they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. And last year, four wide receivers for Tampa Bay got at least 50 targets, which is pretty high. If you look at all these other teams, like maybe two of their guys did. This team got four to get 50 targets, and a lot of that had to do with injuries and having to replace people come in and out, whatever. I think with fewer injuries, you see Ibuka and Godwin kind of get into that really higher echelon of wide receiver usage in fantasy. But I still think that means at least one of these guys is fantasy viable, and like maybe another one is spot week to week viable. The question to me is who? Jalen McMillan was hurt for a lot of last year. Then he comes towards the end of the year and gets some work. Tez Johnson stepped up, which was not something I
Yeah, buddy.
anticipated. And then, yeah, you mentioned Ted Hurst. That's a guy we've been talking about, banging the drum on this podcast for a while already. So to me, this is just a really solid squad. Like you got four guys that I wouldn't be surprised, fucking five guys if you include Tez Johnson, that I wouldn't be surprised week to week
You
if
don't
they
have to
do
do that.
if they do well. And I think Ibuka and Godwin would lead the way to a pretty good season. I think Ibuka is going to have a big year.
Yeah, I think he's going to go nuclear, and Baker's just going to hit his stride. It feels like, man, it feels good for him. As far as what they did to kind of solidify the offensive line, and you could not ask for more as far as weapons go. So,
Yeah.
should be a cool little year in the NFC South. Obviously gotta swat flies, but
Mhm.
but you know ain't much gonna threaten them here.
So Seattle was your five, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll go into the four, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have a lot of notes for these next four. I thought it was fairly
Yeah.
obvious, and
Yep.
we're running at an hour anyway already.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I had the Lions at four.
Same.
Same. Okay, so that makes sense. Jameson Williams is 20 wide receiver 21 in points per game last year. Amon-Ra was wide receiver four. His finishes for the last 4 years are 7, 3, 3, 3. That's crazy. Just the consistency. And they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. I think they're going to blow the doors off people. They don't put the brakes down. I do think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have an absolutely incredible season, but I don't think it means that much in terms of taking away from Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams. So, yeah, I think they're both going to be in the top. Jameson's probably going to be in the top 20 again, and Amon-Ra is going to be probably third again if if his season's track.
Yeah, I'm same with you. The only reason they're not higher is because heavy on Gibbs, heavy on Laporta. But
Yeah.
yep, I'm with you. So um number three, I've got the Vikings.
Me too. Oh, it sounds like we got the same
Yeah, we're gonna
top
walk
four.
this one in. Unchanged with the quarterback upgrade, adding Kyler.
Yeah.
We've talked a few times about like teams with points per game in the top 50, and just like general high targets to wide receivers. This team was three wide receivers in the with 50 or more targets last year, and they had three wide receivers in the top 50 in points per game. And that was Jalen Naylor. So that makes it a little more exciting if you're following the trends around the Vikings, because now they've got Juwan Jennings is their number three. So that's
Hmm.
an upgrade on
Yeah.
an
Big
obviously
time.
polished three core with Justin Jefferson leading the pack. Poor dude. I wanted to ask you on the Ikbuka where you had him in your top 10 ranking. I didn't want to start a fight.
I think I did a bad job at my top 10
You're good.
ranking.
Don't worry about it. We'll move
Uh,
on. But
Probably should have been
yeah,
8.
yeah, I had him at eight. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've got Jefferson at four,
Okay.
which kind of
Yeah.
feels rough. But can't argue with
I
it.
had him at 3.
Um, okay. So yeah, you got it. CD at four, I assume then.
I had TD at 5. I had Amon Ra at 4.
Okay. All right. I had Raw at 5, CD at 3, Justin
So
Jefferson.
flip those guys. Yeah.
Bada boom. But yeah, Vikings, they're rolling with the quarterback upgrade, so this should be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a significant upgrade, and all Jay Jetta's needs is a competent QB.
Yep,
Like he doesn't need a game changer, and they just didn't have that last year. Addison's already shown that he can be a great wide receiver
of
too,
course.
and Jennings carried the Niners
Yep.
wide receiver room, and now
Should
he's
be a
back to
fun
being,
year.
yeah, he's been back to being a number three, which is where he needs to be. So yeah, this core is solid. I think you can probably rely on all these guys if Kyler can play. So two,
It's an upgrade regardless,
yeah, it's an
okay?
upgrade
Even if he can't
regardless.
play,
JJ
it's
was
still an
rough. I was
upgrade.
once again my failure to be able to evaluate quarterbacks is a glaring issue in my
I
life.
know.
But
So never in on him. He's the Brock Purdy of 2025, you know what I mean?
fair enough.
All right, I'm sorry.
So
Number two.
two, I've got the Rams.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Whoa, I had the Cowboys at 2.
Okay, I kind of thought that might happen. So here's why I didn't put the Rams at one. I
Okay.
just there's a chance that Adams touchdowns dip. He wasn't that efficient in terms of like yardage and stuff. It was solely relied on him getting leading the league in touchdowns, and there's a chance that that doesn't happen again. I'm a bit nervous, just a little bit there, and the Rams brought in no one to really do that.
Hmm.
Obviously, Puka is incredible. I'm very upset that I traded my only share of him. I'll say that every time his name comes up, and I'll curse the sky. But I guess we both did. But
Yep, don't worry about it. I I didn't even hear you say anything.
but that's the only reason because I look at CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and they were wide receiver 6 and wide receiver 12 compared to Puka's wide receiver 1
One.
and Devontae's wide receiver 9.
Yep.
So obviously like Puka beats them both. I could just see Adams being like 15 and I could see Lamb being 5 and Pickens being fucking 7. Like nothing changed for the Cowboys and I know everyone wants to sit here and say like, "Oh, the Cowboys fixed their defense because they drafted two players." And it's like, "Okay, great. Like, yeah, we've never seen a team draft two players and even if those players end up as Hall of Famers, they weren't that great in their first year." You know what I mean? Like, we're just sign sealing deliver that the Cowboys defense is going to be great or good compared to last year, and I think they could be all right, but I still think the Cowboys are going to have to score a lot of points to win games. Pickens has already said he's playing on the franchise tag. CeeDee Lamb is a stud. Like I don't know. I just feel like they could stay in the top 10 together, and the chances of Adams being like still good, but outside the top 10 is a little higher to me. So that's why I put the Rams just a touch lower. If I were to tier it, these two would be in their own tier.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So,
I so for me, it's volume. I think
okay.
that so you look at Kyron Williams, he had 50 targets. Javonte Williams had 51 targets, so cancels it out. But Jake Ferguson had 102 targets. That's a big
Yeah.
deal. Leader for the tight end room was Colby Parkinson with 56. So 166 targets for Puka. That's about 30 more than Pickens got, where Adams exceeded Lamb's targets, or well, practically broke even on them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's volume. I think the Rams aren't scared
Yeah.
of just forcing the ball somewhere, and I love the Cowboys wide receiver room. I really do like CeeDee Lamb a lot. He's probably one of my favorite wide receivers in the NFL. But sometimes like he can't take the heat as much
Yeah.
as I think Puka can. And like the Puka's ability to succeed through anything is what made the Rams number one. And then obviously Adams feels like he has another year and a half or so, or more, I should say, a year and a half or more success coming his way. So I'm going that route. Plus, one of these teams did, get a little bit of love in the draft, with the CJ Daniels coming in, obviously Obviously, that's a huge,
That's huge.
it's a
It's
huge
big
ad
time.
for the Rams. So that just put him over the top to be number one. So
Fair
give me
enough.
that. Give me that.
All right. Well, not as crazy different. There's a few things in there that
Top
we,
four, bottom four, even the
yeah.
middle eight was nuts.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. But there you have it. We're gonna hit you with the AFC wide receiver group rankings next week. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.
Maybe I can get used to it as long as I